You are about to opt into Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, boating accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now. All righty.
All right.
I think that went okay.
Okay. Am I good? Wait, am I muted? Am I muted?
Oh, yeah, you're muted. Whoops.
Good job.
Thanks. Cheerios.
I'm hearing a little echo. I'm still hearing the echo for you.
I think you have to go to your settings and change it to
A little. Getting a little fuzz too. What changed? Why do things always change? You hearing that like fuzz?
Yeah.
And echo.
How about now? Can you guys hear me? Hello. Can you hear us? Oh, God.
Strange.
That is very strange. I think you're good now. Yep, they say they can hear us.
Okay. How'd it sound, guys? Did you guys hear an echo?
I don't think so. Well, I don't know.
I was
guess
hearing a little bit of echo when you did it.
Yeah, because I think your mic was on. I can hear you saying it. Okay, thank you. Can you hear Douglas?
Can you hear me?
I think you can hear everyone. Yep.
All right.
No echo. All right, cool. I think because your speaker was on loud on your computer. So I heard it here. I hope people didn't hear it. I don't think people heard it.
Yeah.
Anywho's, how's it going?
I changed it yesterday when we did the interview.
Yeah. So hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How do you do?
Good job. Good job
Thanks,
on the intro. I liked it. It was good.
I hope that went well. I guess we'll watch it after the show. But
yeah, I'm still hearing static.
Can hear Doug, but a little quiet. Okay.
What is going on here? I'm hearing static too.
I don't know.
They're trying to stop us. Can't be stopped. We got Crypto Bear on.
We do. What's it called? Someone's saying they can hear Doug, but a little quiet. So I guess talk.
Hello.
Loud.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
though.
that's weird. I feel like we tested everything.
Usually too loud.
Yeah, you're usually too loud. But
I don't know. We'll mess around with this after.
Anywho, so good morning. How's it go? It's okay. It's an adventure every single time.
What is changing? Nothing is like I don't know. It unravels after every.
And we leave it the same too. Like it's not like you change any settings.
Well, no, yesterday because I did the interview.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Take the orange pill.
Yeah. Monero Space has one too. I know. I really like these shirts. Yeah, was it Club Monero?
Club Monero.
Yeah, I love my little shirt.
Club Monero. If you want to jump on at some point, let us know.
Okay.
You can shill your website.
Yeah, definitely. Love the shirt. I got a little tank top. I wore it the last episode.
He sent us stickers too.
Yeah, he said. Yeah, we keep getting stickers in the mail.
Decals. One I could, like an outdoor decal, which is cool.
Maybe. Should I show it to people or?
No, take it up.
Yeah. So, what's up, Douglas? How's it going?
Not much. Well, we did the presentation yesterday.
Yeah. The crypto vigilante.
That was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah. You were a hit. A lot of people. Yeah, people were. I
was a little worried because I was trying to throw it together.
But that's how you work. You work very last minute. But you did well. Yeah, everyone liked it. A lot of comments were it was a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah. I feel like I didn't attack the other privacy coins enough though.
Okay, well,
because there are a lot of pirate chain people in there. I'm not big on this idea of dividing up people that all essentially are trying to do the same thing. There's positives to it. So I had Sarang. I did an interview with Sarang yesterday. Sarang Norther.
And Aram.
with their recent proposal of Atlantis Spark, right? And that came out of basically development. Yeah, that's where we're getting some fuzz. Development that was funded by Fira. So that's an example of where this competition is good among these projects, right? Because that essentially helped fund the creation of the Atlantis Spark, which now it looks like is probably going to be implemented into Monero. So that's kind of cool. That's like a big company buying out a smaller, well, not buying out, but taking the R&D from a smaller startup, right? So that's kind of cool to see that happen. But then with things like Pirate, and I'm not hating on it, but I just don't like that they're kind of sucking energy out of the larger project and pulling noobs into it who don't know any better.
And they always tag us whenever they're like promoting their stuff.
It's like, if you guys really want to create digital cash, one of the best things we can do is team up and all adopt Monero, which already has gained network effect, and we'll just win the revolution faster.
Yeah.
With each new user, each new transaction, the network becomes stronger. So it's just a little irritating. I'm trying to overcome that. I guess people have different opinions on it. Like I said, the positive is the Atlantis Spark example. I think that's a great example of a positive there. We're getting this great new technology that is coming out of this other project, essentially. It's a great example. But Pirate Chain, guys, I don't know. And I didn't push it enough in my talk yesterday, just this idea that, Monero is the king. When you look at, I pulled up the chart that shows, the transaction counts of Monero versus Zcash shielded transactions versus, I think Dash is on there. I mean, Monero is just like dwarfs every other currency in terms of use as actual, untraceable digital cash. So people need to realize that. And
yes,
we got to get the word out, guys. So Pirate Chain people,
the talk went well.
Whatever. If you ever want to jump up on stage, we could chat. If you're out there and you're like on the fence and you're a noob and you're getting into this, just be wary. I mean, if you want to get involved in projects like that, do whatever you want, but you should be cognizant of the fact that if you actually are truly believe in what's being done here, the creation of digital cash, and you're not just trying to jump on a pump and dump, you should be supporting Monero in a very large way. Small cap projects that are associated with Monero that are trying to compete against it, do they have the potential to pump more? Yeah, because they're small caps, so it's easy to pump. But be wary of the fact that people are intentionally trying to pump them, especially those that have a lot of it and are, the one or two people that started it. So just be cognizant of that. That's my message. I know I sound like a BTC maxi, but it's true. There's so much truth to it. You end up slowing down the progress of the leader, which is a little frustrating to say. I mean, it's just going to happen anyway. It's just slowing down the inevitable. That's the way I look at
it. Someone's asking, will you make your slides available? For your presentation, I guess.
Yeah, I can totally. Yeah, well, I want to get it from them.
Yeah, right? I got to get it from them. I guess I'll ask
put the
Raphael.
Video out there.
Yeah.
I think they wait though.
Yeah, they wait a bit. Yeah. So we won't get it for a bit, but we'll definitely, post it on our.
I mean, guys, the president. I mean, it wasn't for anybody that listens to Monero Talk and this show. It'd be like, all right, you'd be like, I heard this a million times already. So I just basically summed everything up that I've ever said in, 25 slides.
It'll be good to put on
about all Monero's
our
best
channel
features
for newbies, though.
Iron sharpens iron. All right, yeah, I like that. No, I do like the competition among the projects, but yeah, just slightly frustrated. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. It's a completely open marketplace. It's open source software. But that being said, we do need to grow adoption. Monero has gained the network effect. It's won the niche of digital cash, and we just need to make that stronger and stronger. So we need to, if you want to be involved in these other projects, that's fine. But the more energy we can put into Monero, and the further we can grow adoption of Monero, the higher chance we as a crypto community have of winning and making sure that that Monero succeeds, because they're trying to stop it, guys. They're, Bitcoin. I don't think there's people are too the powers that be are too concerned about at this point. But if something like Monero gains global unstoppable traction, and I would argue it already has, but if it gets to the point where a large percentage of the populace is using it, it's going to really take away a lot of power from a lot of powerful people, and they're gonna be upset about that. So we need to make sure it kind of survives this fight stage, which we're really starting to see now. That was another recent interview I did. What was that guy's name?
Wesley Dice.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. He's analyzed the regulatory space pretty well, and he's made some strong arguments as to why it looks like governments globally are going to try to crack down more and more and fight against things, particularly like privacy coins like Monero, for the purposes of preventing money laundering and the financing of terrorism, which all are noble causes, but not if it means banning Monero. And like we've said, you can't stop Monero, but it could make it a little inconvenient and slow down its progress if they try to do things like that. Should we bring Crypto Bear on?
Yeah, sure. I also want to talk that we use Coin Card.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty cool. Yeah, we tried it out.
Well, have we actually used it for a purchase yet?
Not yet.
We got the card.
Yeah, we got the card.
Okay. Thank you, Coin Cards.
Yeah, it's like a cool little system. But
yeah, you want to explain what that is to people?
Yeah, sure. It's basically you can buy gift cards from, I guess, most retailers, I guess, right? I don't know. I know we attempted an Amazon card using any type of crypto, and we tried using it with Monero. We bought a gift card with Monero, and yeah, it was a pretty, I guess, smooth process. You went to the website, you selected the amount you wanted on the card, and then they sent you a QR code, and then you sent the money there, and then it took a second to like process, and then it was complete, and then they send you a confirmation via email, and then they send you an email with the code to redeem your card.
But it took a while to get the redeem
code. It took a
code,
bit,
right?
yeah, but it was like, I guess, within the hour.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was interesting. So now we just got to use it. So it worked. I put it onto my Amazon account, and it went through. So
yeah, that's cool. We'll continue to talk about that. We're looking for ways where we can easily use Monero on a daily basis, since I'm now essentially going to be living off of Monero. Since I went full-time Monero, and I'm leaving the fiat system. So guys, we'll continue to, anybody ever want to come up here and talk about their experience with that, please do. Let us know any tricks and hints. And I'm sure people in the community would love to hear that as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess let's move on and have our special guest, Crypto Bear. Howdy, howdy. Hello?
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted, but there he goes.
Hey guys, good morning.
How's it going?
What's up, man?
Pretty good. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Ooh, the famous voice. I like your voice.
Oh, thank you. It's a little groggy in the morning. I'm definitely not a morning person.
Yeah, but maybe you should do some singing in the morning. You get that groggy voice.
Yeah, it's great until the second take wakes up, and I'm like, man, it sounded better. Yeah, it sounded better before I woke up.
Are you wearing your Monero sweater as we speak?
It's a little bit too warm still. Maybe later on.
Do you have the Monero sweater?
Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah, all right. I don't know how many of us are out there that actually have the Monero sweater.
Yeah, it was what is it? Hodelmoon is the company that made them, and they were popular like back 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And when I saw that they had a Monero one back then, I was, ecstatic. I was so excited.
I know, same here. I wore it like Christmas. I wore it to like my family Christmas party.
Surprisingly, the Monero one's the only one I've never worn out in public.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I think the only use I've ever gotten out of it, like wore it was for that Monero Extremist video.
Nice. Dude, yeah, tell us more about when did you start making these videos?
We only recently
discovered you.
So just to give a little bit of background, I've been, I got into the crypto space back 2014, 2015-ish, sort of like introduced to it. And I think like most people in the community, they're kind of exposed to hearing something about Bitcoin. And, at first impression is, oh, this is a scam. It's a Ponzi. This will never work, And it's like about the second, third time you hear about it, you get interested, you start looking into it. I was big into that hackathon space back then, right, where they would do hackathons. They had a category for Bitcoin. And, I started getting involved with it. And then, I fell into the rabbit hole, right, with cryptocurrencies. It's right at the intersection of politics, monetary theory, and free market economics, right, mixed with a little sprinkle of technology and an underground feeling to it, right? So I did some projects and stuff, and did I did a little bit of music here or there for random crypto stuff, and it wasn't until like this last year or so that I was, I've been around doing a lot of cryptocurrency stuff. Maybe I should start putting out some music, because I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a guy, Zhu Tong. I'm probably killing the pronunciation, but he used to make all sorts of Bitcoin music and stuff way back in the day. And I just felt like there was a little bit of what it's funny because there's so many people doing parodies and everything, right? And I feel like I'm extremely passionate about not only the technology, but the implications that this technology has in really changing the status quo and power dynamics of how people interact with government, with banks, with just money in general. That I don't see it as parodies, right? It's pretty cringe, but I love doing this stuff, and I thought that it definitely was missing somebody coming in here and just putting a lot of this stuff out. And I think unlike a lot of the people who are putting out music in this space, I'm not just trying to shill whatever the latest coin is, right? And I'm not just trying to be like, oh, this coin and this exchange will give me views if I, whatever. I really, I'm passionate about the stuff I talk about.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, yeah. You see others that maybe are just trying to tap into a community, right, with the song. But yeah, no, that's nice to hear that you actually believe in what you're saying.
Yeah, I've been I've been around for a while, and I think so. I kind of got the jump on one day. I got the idea that there's so many Bitcoin maximalists, and something that annoys, because I think most of us who got into the space originally were exposed to Bitcoin, and there's kind of like a few steps of waking up and realizing this stuff. And me, I always had these tinges of being a libertarian and the free market ideals, all this stuff. Love that stuff even when I was younger. And I was surprised it took me so long to find cryptocurrencies, because I was already doing the stuff of going to my high school computer lab, removing the teacher spyware, and it was only a matter of steps, right? I was running like freenet servers back when I was in middle school, high school. So it definitely was there, and I'm surprised it took me so long to find it. But something that you go down this rabbit hole of being exposed to cryptocurrencies, you go through Bitcoin first, and then you start to see some problems with how the system in Bitcoin is, right? And there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists who I feel have forgotten why we got into cryptocurrencies or why it was exciting. It was never about, everybody's going to get rich if you buy whatever the latest ERC20 is. And no offense to ERC20 tokens, but, the most important aspect of this is that it's currency that people can use. And I think for the first time in history, we have open source money, which is, I think people forget how important and game changing this paradigm is. I think Monero, with its privacy features and everything, is a lot more what we originally thought Bitcoin was when you first heard about it. Anonymous internet money that's cheap to transfer from point A to point B. And I thought the ethos of the Monero community were painted so much as, it's this underground money. I'm like, why fight it? Maybe if we embrace it from a marketing standpoint, you have Bitcoin maximalists, cool, be maximalistic about things. We can be Monero extremists. So I had the idea for the song, and one thing led to the other. The video was great. I saw you guys wearing the shirt, I think, a couple of streams back. And
we should. Can we play the song right now? You have it?
Yeah. Do you guys need a link?
Yeah. Hold on. I have your YouTube channel here.
Yeah, you definitely can
get that sound.
Yeah, I'm getting a weird sound. I don't even know what it is.
It's got to be.
It's like the wiring or something.
Yeah. Is it on my end or?
No, it's our end. We've been having issues since the beginning. Hopefully that doesn't.
Yeah, I was having all
the audio.
Are people here like little?
Night.
Are you hearing any like fuzzy noise?
Or maybe it's just our headphones.
Maybe it's just our headphones. Actually,
it got better earlier. You guys were having all sorts of it kept compressing out.
Really?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you want to just, I guess, send me the link of that specific video?
Yeah.
I have. I mean, I have a bunch of videos of yours. Which one?
Agree with everything you're saying, by the way, man. Definitely agree with everything you're saying. Yeah, we need more people to take that approach. It's okay to be a Monero extremist. It's okay to be out there talking about it for all its positive features. It's free speech money. You should be proud of it. People try to see it as this dark market money, ransomware money used for nefarious purposes. Sure, it's used for those things, but it's free speech money. That's be out there, be proud, talking about it, talking it up.
And I think it's interesting too, because I think it's very easy in today's social climate for people to be like, well, okay. So to give when I first got into cryptocurrencies, and I'd go to a lot of, I've got a cybersecurity background, so I go to hacker meetups and things like that. And a lot of the privacy folks, I was the guy, we'd go and I'd talk about the theoretics, right, of a future where people were going to be censored on Facebook and other social medias for their political opinions. And back then it was considered so fringe, tinfoil hat-ish to say that people are just, to the average individual, man, you're crazy. That's never going to happen. But I think a lot of us in the privacy space really thought that was a possibility. And not only that, we looked for tools so that we could build up communities. So when the time came, technology is a great equalizer, but it can also be a powerful dynamic for those who want to oppress, right? And historically, the advent of new technology, and when you guys had John McAfee on, he explained it greatest. New technology is usually embraced initially by criminals, right? They have the most at stake to lose, so they're always looking for an edge. So I think when people think of, Monero is dirty money, whatever, it's actually the cleanest money. And two, it's reminiscent of early Bitcoin days. And this is exactly how people referred to Bitcoin. There was a time when, when we first heard Bitcoin, right, and you want to explain it to everybody, you love telling people about it. I used to go, I'd be at bars, download a wallet, I'll send you $1, right? And it was, but I've had people that were like, whoa, don't send it back. I'm like, you got to send it. It's in your wallet now. Or, wait, isn't this illegal? And it's crazy how the paradigm on that shift to now seeing commercials, on TV, I've seen billboards. It's just interesting. And that paradigm definitely shifted. And it's just interesting. I see a lot of parallels between Bitcoin in the early days and what Monero is now.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's getting people to, understand what the technology is, what it means, and just changing people's minds. And when enough people know that Monero exists and understand that it's free speech money, and understand that basically what we're doing here is we created an unstoppable technology that lets people transact peer-to-peer and then let them decide whether they think that's a good thing for humanity or a bad thing. And I think most people will come to the conclusion that, yeah, free flow of communication should be allowed. You know, if you're any individual should be able to control their own money and communicate it however they wish without being stopped or censored by any state or corporation. Seems pretty basic. And I think, you know, people will point out the bad, like we said, but when people stop and think about it and think about whether or not humans deserve that ability, I think most people would side on the side of, yeah. It's kind of like, you know, take it a step further. You know, should governments or corporations have the ability to read our minds? I think if you approached anybody and said, hey, would you be down with a technology? Maybe it's going to give you some great benefits. You know, you'll wake up in the morning and your Amazon order was already placed because it knew what you were thinking. You know, your fridge is already filled with what you want to buy because it knew what you were thinking. Sounds super convenient. But downside is these corps are going to know everything that you're thinking all the time. And I think everybody would be like, hell no, we don't want that. I want the ability to keep my thoughts to myself and communicate them as I wish to who I want to communicate them to. It allows us to maintain our basic individuality. Nobody would want that. And communicating values, the same exact thing. So I think once people start to realize that and realize that this invention exists already and the only thing we need to do is adopt it, they're going to do it.
The time's coming. I think that, you know, we're expediting quickly into totalitarian systems, and, you know, everybody who was privacy centric always talked about this, and the theoreticals are quickly becoming real, tangible things. And I think it's expediting. You know, I used to have to fight to get people to install Signal to message me and things like that, right? And, you know, you see where average people are using all these third-party platforms, encrypting messaging apps and things like that. So there's definitely a social shift. The technology's there. And I think we're about to experience in the next 2 to 3 years a lot more adoption, not out of people wanting to for theoretical reasons, but because they have no choice to want to retain their freedom.
Exactly, man. And, you know, what you're doing is tremendous, because we could sit here, Sunita and I could sit here and talk all day about it. But you made something entertaining that could easily be sent around the internet, a meme of sorts, form of a video, and that spreads, man. That spreads.
Yeah,
like
I purposely put all the stuff in there because it was, it's a hard line to walk something where it needs to be cringe enough to be memeable, right? But you still need to be able to explain complex things or be able to pass an idea. And, you know, something icons are very easy to be marketable, and you can create a depiction with that. And that's, what I was hoping to do with it.
It'd be nice to start to see mainstream artists. Maybe you become the mainstream artist, but like, you know, rappers and stuff talking about it, but like, you know, it'd be funny to make fun of like making fun of people who are BTC maxis and be like, yo, you're using BTC, meanwhile you're being traced. It'd be funny once that starts to happen, because you know it will, right?
You know, the only artist I've ever heard was Money Man kind of, you know, mention just crypto in a general usage, where it didn't feel like a marketing tactic of, you know, random artist. I've got my NFT.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
But I want to see one rapping about Monero and making fun of those that are using traceable currencies. That would
be really awesome.
Right?
Well, we had that rapper, remember, a long time ago. I forget his name.
Oh,
he was on the show.
What the hell is his name?
I forgot his name, but I gotta look through the videos.
He did a nice Monero.
Yeah, it was a good.
So.
Yeah, it was a good song. But anyways, let's play the video.
Let's play the video.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a Monero extremist. In the lab like a kid. Fucking know me opinion. All my bosses run living. Make crypto scary again. Talking back on it, wonder who win. When it makes circulation, ignore regulation. Bailouts and fair printing and constant inflation. When Bitcoin man making a change. Back before Lambo Moon shit was the rage. Back before Ross was stuck in a cage. Back when our stream wasn't a vase. Back when OGs was still making waves. Back before press was printing first page. Back when that bets still had a hit. Back when our wallet was built by a mer. Taking it back, this my Genesis block. Cypherpunk shit, yeah, I guess they forgot. Encrypted partition is Z-card edition. Talking for scanning like boats on a dock. PGP keys over likes and repost. And got paper wallets, hope it ain't lost. I'll say like this, it's strapped up like a high-tech rotated identity. Skipper like toe. Taking it back to the day, this my Genesis block. This my Genesis block. Taking it back to the day, this my Genesis block. Yeah, taking it back to the day. Yeah, this my Genesis block. 3 letters surveillance. This my Genesis block. Yeah, this my Genesis block. 3 letters surveillance, treating them like us. Told out the bundle, remixing my hymen. Wanted more freedom from world acting pop. Real gon' float, the fake gonna drown. Shout out Satoshi, never cashing out. If Bitcoin established was the payment route. Whether if Blockstream figured it out, or if the banking system had them all bought out. Sell out. Been on Reddit for wanting big blocks. When did the hackers start giving tech tips? Scaling solutions, choosing a walk. When fees go up, the banks feel the love. Mining solutions, gatekeeper of sorts. Fashion or reserve like the feds going short. Thought crypto was freedom from central control. Atomic sauce for freedom from the last resort. Taking it back to the day, this my Genesis block. This my Genesis block. Taking it back to the day, this my Genesis block. Yeah, taking it back to the day, this my Genesis block. This my Genesis block. This my Genesis block.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely on a watch list after that one.
Dude, it's good, man. You say
Yeah,
so
man,
you say so much there.
Yeah, it's
Most people, I mean, not most, but a lot of people won't get the references unless they've been in crypto for quite some time.
There was one on the mining one that it was, what was the line? Not talking about X's when I say I have a lot of random X's.
Yeah.
Or not talking about sex when I say I got a lot of random X's. And yeah, there's a lot of little...
Oh, whoops.
What's happening?
Well, we're hearing this. People aren't hearing this.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of references that I think...
Wait, what did people say about the random X's?
Oh, there was a line where I was like, man, I hope people get that.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about sex when I say I have a lot of random X's.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just little tidbits like this here or there. And
I certainly got it. I laughed.
He was like cheesing the entire video.
I've been watching all your videos like over and over again, just laughing.
Like over and over and over
when
again.
I'm selling the coffee, I gotta figure out how to get them playing on my speaker easily, so I need like a playlist of all the error related songs.
Yeah, no, I like this stuff, and definitely I feel like there's the Monero community is probably the closest to what I would call the original cryptocurrency community, and the cypherpunk ideals, the libertarian ideals, the privacy centric ideals. So I really like that this community embraces that sort of thing.
Yeah, man, you definitely understood it from what you're saying in the song too. So are you anonymous, or do you do people are you what's your situation? Obviously, we don't see you today. We know you as Crypto Bear.
Well, for obvious reasons, I think in this space, everybody has different identities, right?
Yeah.
And,
no, nothing wrong with that.
And for obvious reasons, because you don't need your non-outside this identity people recognizing, and I think it's very clear from this is an identity I've used for a long time, right? And this one's kind of definitely not as what I would say high security, right? But from the old days when I used to walk around, talk to literally everyone I knew, right, about Bitcoin, right? Cryptocurrencies, this is a, and people laughed it off, right? And then like 5-6 years later, people message you, and I was like, okay, I can't be doing this. I feel like, people's assumptions because you were into the technology, 6-7 years ago is oh man, you, and it's just like, wait, who's this person? Why are they asking? Oh man, you must have bought a bunch, right?
Right.
That no, it's just that.
Yeah, no, for security reasons. I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, I wish. Sometimes
like,
I wish I
"Fuck."
didn't go this road, but I fully embraced it. Some people need to. We need some people to be out on the front lines. So
Yeah, it's that, and then I feel like there's such a what I would call like a normie understanding of cryptocurrencies in general that that most people, if you were to walk around and at least have heard of it, some are like, I own it. Oh, cool. What? Yeah, it's on my Robinhood. Wait, hold on, right? So yeah, there's definitely the sphere is a lot different than what it used to be. But yeah, I would call it a pseudo anonymous identity. I've definitely been in groups where in real life years ago I'd refer to it by my crypto bear handle. Things like that. I've used it for quite a bit of security related stuff, and also for other cryptocurrency projects and things. When you remember when meetups used to be a thing?
yeah,
What were those? Yeah.
Yeah, I was that, and then conferences and things like that. Yeah, but definitely being able to change identities is important, and I don't think I could openly speak about the things I want to speak. When could you imagine walking into a meeting and somebody's like, "Hey, man,
Hey, Crypto Bear.
is this you?"
Do you?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, during my off time.
Would you ever perform in person?
Yeah, I got a ski mask.
Dude, we gotta have you come
He
down
has
to
ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah, he has
Monerotopia,
Yeah,
Puerto
I have all
Rico.
sorts of ideas. Yeah.
Might be a little hot with the bear suit on, but
Feel like
you
slowly-
have no idea. So when I was shooting those last videos, right, I was supposed to have a bunch more songs on that last album, but I had COVID, right? And
Oh, no.
yeah, so once it knocked me out for a couple of weeks, and once I was feeling better, but it took me like another 2 weeks after that to just sound okay, right? It was like, I swear, I was like, okay, so I can't record any. So I was like, I'll just knock out some video footage. I was sweating. It was terrible. I was like, man, I'm in a sweater with some random mask, and yeah, it was.
It's probably good for getting that COVID out of the system, though. You sweat it out.
I was like, man, I can't wait for cooler weather because this is terrible. But yeah, it was. Yeah. But I've been using that handle for a while. I used to use it a little bit more I did quite a bit of stuff in Ethereum, and that's kind of where I probably did a little bit more dev. There's different identities for different stuff. I don't know if you guys remember like Namecoin and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which crazy story, but back when Namecoin Ethereum had just like launched, right? And I was like, okay, do I throw $1,000 at Namecoin at $1 a piece, or $1,000 at Ethereum?
I know.
I chose Namecoin.
Yeah,
I was excited. Decentralized DNS. The nerd in me is like, okay, yeah, this is
real use case.
Yeah, and plus, it took me a couple of years to really understand Ethereum. I just couldn't wrap my head around how it was sort of turned complete asterisk at the end, right?
I was a BTC maxi at that point, and didn't have a ton of Bitcoins, but I think at the time they were like $300 a piece. And I sat there on my computer and I was like, do I send this one Bitcoin to get 2,000 Ethereum for the pre-sale? I was like, nah, like I'm not letting go of that.
So I knew somebody that had like, man, I knew, this is how you were early on, right? Where people you used to know disappear, right? And I don't mean it like nefariously. I just mean people who used to hang around, they did a lot of crypto stuff, and then they go MIA, right?
Right.
There was funny, some coworkers back in the day, out of everybody, only a couple listened to me. One, when I was like, oh, this stuff is, and one of them she like quit one day, right? I was like, I'm out. They're like, oh, where are you going to go work? No, I just quit. I'm not going to work. It was kind of funny. But yeah, no, I think, it's interesting, the price, and maybe we can talk about that a little bit more, is that price tends to go up, and it's a self-serving cycle during those mania phases, and it attracts new people, then they get burnt out. Some of them look into it further, and these cycles, if we've been in this space for a while, I think people get used to that volatility and stuff, and you kind of get numb to it a bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, but
You need to go through, a cycle, and yeah, it doesn't become as shocking, the volatility. You get over it.
yeah, it's it's ruined the stock market for me, right? You see all these YOLO plays on like what is it? On like Wall Street bets and things, and I'm like, YOLO, like this just doesn't seem as fun, right? And like, the stock market does a -10 in a day, and all of a sudden they put the circuit breakers in and things like that. And after getting to enjoy a true free market, as much as people talk about there's issues with centralized exchanges being able to approve funds as their paper trading of certain cryptocurrencies, I still think overall it's way more of a free market, and it's reminiscent of these Wild West stories you hear about of what the stock market was 100 years ago. So
definitely.
Yeah.
And it's something, when you invest, at least for Monero, it's more than just an investment, right? You're investing in an idea. Hopefully you're investing in an idea that you believe in, that's going to lead to more than just number go up. And for me, that's what gives me the comfort, right? That's why I'm okay with Monero, whatever price it is, because I'm just here trying to get it to adopt. I want to live in a Monero world, right? So
yeah. So
for me, when I watch the price go up and down, it doesn't. I check my wallet, and the amount of Monero I have in it hasn't changed, and that's all that matters, right?
I think Monero has some challenges that other coins won't, but I think it's stuff that could be worked on. And for example, liquidity, it tends to be an issue because when you look at literally put Dogecoin, for example, right? And you can buy it from Robinhood, Coinbase, all these what I would call normie-friendly exchanges. I love Kraken, right? I think the CEO is probably one of the best when it comes to leading a company, in terms of he understands he's one of us, right? But it's, for the average individual, it's very hard for them to wire money. They just started accepting, being able to use credit cards or whatever to buy from there. But the liquidity issue, it tends to be a problem because it prevents a large influx of people who would maybe want to buy in. Or a lot of people talk about how do I get it on Uniswap?
Yeah, people are talking about it in the chat right now. Yeah, it's just not, especially if you live in New York too.
Oh man,
it's not
man.
Well, luckily whatever. We don't
you
need
guys
to talk
have
about
good pizza though, right? Just don't tell the people in Chicago.
So, you're a Chicago guy. Wait, wait, just
every New Yorker I've ever met it gets insulted if I mention anything about the pizza, right? Like,
it's just two different types.
It's like
right?
a weird hill to die on.
Yeah.
New York
like they all come together. They could be
And-
fighting in a room, and at the moment you mention like New York style pizza sucks, it's like everybody who's from New York, been to New York,
Proud of our pizza.
Yeah, it's like somebody who, hey, what you say about pizza? Like, but yeah, it's as far as the liquidity things, I think there's some stuff in the works. Of course, atomic swaps with Bitcoin.
Yes.
And that's still being built out. The one that I personally think is a lot more important, and I started doing a little bit of work into it, is atomic swaps between Ethereum and Monero. And the reasoning for this is Ethereum really is the platform for decentralized finance, right? You get
access to some stable coins there, right?
Yeah. So the idea is that you should be able to basically have a Uniswap for style cross-chain DEX, right? So imagine Uniswap, but you send Ether in there and you get Monero at the other address, right? So it's from a technical standpoint, keep in mind, I'm not a cryptographer. So some of the stuff with, atomic swaps, they use all this new cryptography and it really gets down in there. And then most of the libraries are in Rust. So those are a couple of challenges, but yeah, I think it offers the most liquidity. There's so much liquidity on Ethereum. The transactions, as bad as they get with the scalability of gas fees and stuff, it's being worked on, in my opinion. It's a good problem, right? They have so many people using Ethereum that the gas fees are crazy high, and people are still paying them.
Right, showing that there's demand.
Yeah, so I really think that once that gets working, I think it's going to offer a lot more liquidity, and we need to put this liquidity provisioning for money to get into Monero, because it's who cares if a random centralized exchange delists Monero, as long as people are able to get money in, out, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't affect the price.
And it's getting people to use it the right way, the way crypto was meant to be used. So
exactly.
ideally in the future, you won't be able to get Monero on a centralized exchange, and the only way you'll be able to get it is through these atomic swaps, but in a way that it becomes so user friendly that it's just as easy as getting it on a centralized exchange.
Yeah,
I think we'll get there, man. I think atomic swaps work. They're up and running, and like you said, that Bitcoin's not going away, so we're always going to have that bridge to the fiat world. Now we just need to make that bridge wider, so it can get to the point where people can very easily opt in from Bitcoin into Monero. And like you said, with Ethereum, like I would be more excited for the day when I could atomic swap essentially into a stable coin.
Yeah. Well, so that's the idea with Ethereum and the way the ecosystem works. And right now, it's maybe not as feasible due to how expensive this would be as a transaction. But for larger transactions, it really wouldn't matter. But you can use cross-pool liquidity provisioning, right? So with Ethereum, you might want to trade into a stable coin, but there's not enough money in there. You can automatically transfer those, exchange those in the back end, right? Like, so the smart contract goes to a liquidity pool, trades, Ether for stable coin, and then the stable coin for Monero. So you don't have to do that yourself. It does it for you. And it makes it really easy for liquidity to kind of provide where it's needed most. There's also a lot of big money that's interested. And so this is the part, everybody talks about, oh, it's underground. There's a lot of big money, big players in the space who are looking into how they can provision this, right? With Aave, there's a lot of big investment firms that are looking into seeing how they could, they're looking at yields. And, it's laughable when traditional finance looks at some yield that's actually below the true inflationary numbers, right? So it's like a negative yield as far as anyone's concerned. And, 10% is amazing. And then they go to DeFi and they have some ridiculous yields, right? So there's definitely a lot of big players that are looking to put this money in. I think it's overall good for the ecosystem. I know that there's a lot of Monero people that frown upon how Ethereum, they laugh at all these ERC20s and all this, but it's important for the space. It's important for the liquidity. And I'm of the personal opinion that Ethereum probably has some of the most normie-friendly UIs. You use a web browser. I'm not saying it's the best security, but I'm just saying for the average individual, they picked up on that pretty quickly. There's ways to interact with contracts and things like that. So they're using, Uniswap, SushiSwap. So it's clearly there. We're just trying to bridge that. And I think that should have a lot more price action after that.
Yeah. You could also look at it as an opportunity right now, too. So the fact that Monero has been pushed to the fringes, it's not super easy to get. You can't just go on Coinbase. Kraken is great, guys, if you want to use that. Obviously, Cake Wallet, who sponsors this show, is a great way to essentially anonymously obtain Monero. If you have another coin, you can swap it through Cake Wallet. It has an exchange built in, and as long as you're not doing too much of it, you could do it KYC, AML free. But yeah, opportunity to grab the Monero now when it's not super easy to get, because once it is, then you can imagine price is going to go up a lot more. So I see it as an opportunity as well. It's kind of suppressing the price, but for those that really believe in it and see the future, they can do a little work. Maybe it's a little harder to get than some of the other cryptos, but I see that as an opportunity where you can grab Monero now when it's still early.
I think these are tangible problems too. So, it's hard to say, oh, why doesn't price go up? But when you tangibly break a problem down into, the subsystems, you can easily say, okay, well, there's not an easy way to on-ramp. So you can start building those easy on-ramps. Oh, why, there's so much liquidity in DeFi. Okay, let's bridge that. Let's figure out how we can do cross-chain with that. So I think, yeah, that's, and honestly, once you start using Monero, the whole concept of if I send money to someone, and I still through different identities and stuff, you know, where I onboard someone and I'm like, hey, and I've had where they look at the transaction history and like, wow, you know, but before that, because, you know, I'm paranoid. It's because, you know, I swap from Monero to some Bitcoin, right, and send them like $20. Then, oh, wow, you have $500 on that, on your original address, right? And these are people who are not the most technical, but they understand the concepts. They're able to figure this out. And once you can clearly tell where the transaction history and all this is, being able to spend money as money's supposed to be spent with Monero, just UX, UI wise, makes a lot of sense. And I saw somebody in the chat mention that Bitcoin as a reserve currency, it's kind of turned that way. Some of my concerns, because I used to love all that, and there's definitely a cultural shift in Bitcoin during the scaling wars, right? And for people who weren't around back then, there was always this assumption that when Bitcoin blocks became full, that we were just going to increase the block size. And when you go back into original Bitcoin Talk postings by Satoshi, he put that limit in place to prevent spam attacks of an early young network, right? There just wasn't enough nodes, and somebody could spam the network for like no money, fill up like gigabyte big blocks and crash the network. So it was a temporary fix in case somebody attacked it, right?
Right.
When we got to the point of it, we kind of just ignored. All of a sudden, you know, people were voting on it, and all of a sudden the least voted for by miners was the no increase, right? And it felt very weird when we started. There was a lot of censorship that started popping up. People, you know, I think I got shadow banned on Reddit from the Bitcoin subreddit a couple of times. Because,
well, they wanted that layer 2, right? So, I mean, who's behind the layer 2?
But the layer 2 problems are that Bitcoin block rewards are there to incentivize miners through inflation and money creation, right? Which costs everybody their money because, you know, you're getting inflated away, but it's there to incentivize mining. And until we have like no more block reward, we should have just increased it. And eventually there will be, you know, transaction fees and a fee market, but I think it was very premature. And something I noticed was my use of Bitcoin after that changed drastically, because it used to be something that was so cheap, just like how sending Monero from one person is, you don't even think about the transaction fee. It used to be like that. I used to, pull your phone out, send them $1, and instantly, and they got it. Now it's, hold on, give me 1 second, let me adjust my fee, let me and I think it was done prematurely. And a concern for me is that we always talk about layer 2s, there's privacy and all this, but there's also aspects of liquidity can be provisioned, and it turns into a game of who can kind of corner the market so that then they can provide it. And that's a form of, in my opinion, control. So I really was dissatisfied with the approach of embracing censorship and something that was supposed to fight censorship.
That was definitely a turnoff for me as well.
Yeah, because, you know, I think that's, for me, that's when it went from very pro-big. And, you know, it's kind of depressing to think about, you know, this is supposed to change the world. And then you start seeing investments by big banks into key players.
That's when it became digital gold too, right? Because now the idea was, well, you're not supposed to. Do you move your gold around? No, it just sits in a safe. So same thing with Bitcoin. You're not even supposed to move it; just sits there.
And you know, the craziest part is seeing people who maybe were newer in the space, you know, getting called a shitcoiner for advocating like bigger blocks in Bitcoin, right?
Right.
In these type of things, where I really think it hurt adoption. We really were at the precedence of being able to have Stripe used to allow those payments. Everybody was starting to accept it, right? And a lot of those programs cut their support for Bitcoin payments because it became unusable as a peer-to-peer payment. And there's definitely a shift from between 2015 to 2017. I could no longer just send $1 to a person, right?
Yeah.
And I really hated those narratives of digital gold, not because I see the merit in it, right? It's great for a reserve currency, but I also see how it could be co-opted by powerful entities, and they could do it in a way where it benefits them more than the people. So when you have peer-to-peer cash that people can utilize, payment systems, it really becomes a circular economy that's out of the direct control of the system, right?
Right. That's why they're more threatened by Monero.
Exactly. But if you're able to kind of turn into digital gold and you start hoarding this, you know, you can then as an institution hoard a ton of it, create layer 2s. You basically provision putting that locked away for a layer 2 collateral. and all of a sudden you just have nothing else but a new banking system. So those were my concerns with that. Not to bash it. I love that people are working on Lightning. You know, a lot of this stuff works a lot better now that, you know, I blinked and I'm like, what did I miss? There's so much stuff and it's usable now and everything. It's just, I shifted my attention towards things that the community, one, embraced the ethos of why we got into cryptocurrencies in the first place. So that's kind of my concerns with a lot of those layer 2 solutions. We, you know, it was always assumed we were going to increase block size. I mean, it was the least liked choice when people were voting for it through mining, you know, was no increase. I mean, we were talking about, is it 8 megabytes that we need to increase to? Is it 6? Is it 2? Is it? And all of a sudden, everybody got censored, banned. It was just, it left a bad taste in my mouth. And that was around the time.
Blockstream, the power of Blockstream.
Yeah, and you know, that's as far as I can go without just jumping the, you know, shark and going full fringe tinfoil with it.
Well, whether it was tinfoil hat or it just worked out for market forces, because like we said, we had people that wanted to turn it into more digital gold than digital cash, and we're perfectly fine with being a tracked and trace as long as it now is going to be number go up. It became difficult to send around, and they were fine with that. And then you know, companies that were building layer 2 certainly wanted to, you know, be relied upon for building layer 2, right? It's like, well, now you really need layer 2, right?
Yeah.
And so those companies are doing quite well because of that. We
have
other people jumping on, but Crypto Bear, what do you think, man? Maybe we'll have you down. We're going to be throwing we haven't really officially announced it yet, but it looks like we're going to be doing a Monerotopia. It's not really a conference.
No, it's like a festival.
More of a Monero,
like a meet and greet.
Monero festival, like a long weekend in Puerto Rico. In Rincon.
Oh, man, that must be beautiful out there.
Yeah,
in
really
March. Nice. So put it on your calendar. Maybe you come down there and.
All right, I'm definitely gonna put that on my calendar and see if I can make it.
Yeah, the idea is what we want it to be is, you know, people use Monero essentially the entire time. Monero to buy their plane tickets, Monero for their accommodations. We're going to try to make that easy for people to do, and then even we're gonna try to get a few of the stores in the village where we're gonna be hanging out. Try to get them to all accept Monero for the weekend, like the bars and the restaurants. So
that'd be really amazing.
That'd be cool.
And that would really be the theme. So everybody just hanging out. So not so much of a conference,
but like meetup points, like on the beach or like
using
at a bar.
Yeah, I always like hanging around the people who are into
like a meet and greet. Yeah, because we realize when we go to like all these other conferences, obviously the talks are amazing, but then also we notice that, you know, it's always we're all hanging out. We create like a group chat with people, and then we're all just meeting.
And some of the best conversations obviously take place.
How the cryptocurrency village at DEF CON really is just the Monero village.
Yeah, it was that's where we came up with this idea beforehand, but like we just noticed that like people just throw themselves in a chat, and then we're always just meeting, even if they don't go to like the talks. We're just meeting up with them and hanging out.
We'll have some beach parties, and we'll have like a rough schedule, but really it'd be more about people just hanging out.
And just
it sounds amazing.
Yeah,
it sounds like a Monerotopia.
Yeah,
maybe you should just name it that.
That's what
that's what it is.
It's called Monerotopia.
We're gonna name it
festival. I'm like, you guys have the name
Monerotopia Festival.
It's called.
It's gonna be Monerotopia. Yeah. So let's see.
After the show.
So we'll see. But anyways, we have Spacehead.
Spacehead, what's going on, man?
Hello, or
Dr.
Trey.
Howdy.
What's going on, man?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for jumping up.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody,
I'm a long-time lurker. I just thought I would pop in and say hi.
Yeah, sure. Tell us your Monero story, I guess.
If you want.
Oh, I'll try to give some big details.
What a surprise.
I had a religious spiritual shift in the past 18 months, as I'm sure a lot of other people have. And I think I started seeing, some of the importance that you guys see.
Awesome.
With everything that's going on in the world, with the encroaching totalitarianism.
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. And Monero is the island that we could opt into.
Hopefully, it seems that way.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Well, I'm glad you found us and you're along for the ride. I think I've seen you. You're on Twitter quite a bit, right?
I do frequent Twitter.
You're doing a good job there. You're doing a good job.
Sweet, thank you.
Awesome. And Dr. Trace, you want to say hello? Or no? Or
Dr.
just hang
Trace.
out. Dr. Trace is just hanging out.
Oh, hey guys. No, I'm just listening.
Okay,
cool.
no worries.
How are you?
Good. How are
man,
you?
good.
Doing all right, doing all right. Hey, I'm a big fan of Crypto Bear's work as well. Isn't he the one who is producing all the songs?
Yeah,
Yep.
we just played. We just played.
Played one of his songs in the beginning.
Oh, Crypto Bear, I have an idea for you. So if you see on the banner on the bottom where we're saying you could tip us by just typing monerotalk.crypto and Cake Wallet, you should get one of those domains, unstoppable domains for crypto tipping, and then maybe you want to even add it to your song when you're rapping or something. It's because it's an easy way.
It's an easy way to
tell people to send you Monero, right? As opposed to just showing an address, so you could even just throw the language out there.
Yeah, I needed to add that one because I know I've done stuff with like ENS and next thing I've had the page up 2-3 times and I was like, crap, I forgot, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because Cake integrated it now, so it's super easy. I mean, people can just open up their Cake wallet and they could type in Crypto Bear. If you bought that.
It's so nice that Cake Wallet is adding all those features because so back in the day before there was any mobile wallets, it was so hard at meetups or any imagine lugging your laptop around, and that definitely was a lot more like, how are people going to use this if they can't even spend it, right?
Oh yeah, no. When Vic came out with Cake Wallet, that was a breakthrough for me. I was waiting for that. I'm not super tech savvy. You sound a lot more tech savvy than I am. So I was waiting for the day where I could just hold some Monero on my iPhone. Made it a lot more usable for people like me.
I feel so out of touch with a lot of the consumer tech, and it's kind of like I'm very technical, but I'm like, man, my machines are like Linux machines, all this stuff. So I'm like, wait, what? It's apart from attacking Windows, I don't really use Windows.
Yeah.
So
you're the real deal. Dr. Trace, what do you think of the Monerotopia idea? The meetup in Puerto Rico.
I'm sorry, guys. I joined in late. I'm
all right.
I'm sure you must have just. No, it sounds great to me. By the way, I was in Vegas when you. I just couldn't meet you guys. I was there one night before you guys met. I really missed out on that, and I'll make it up maybe next time, because I do want to support you guys for what you're doing, especially Doug. To that point, I also wanted to donate, not just to you, Doug. I mean, it'll be great if somebody comes up with like a central place with all the donation addresses, like Crypto Bears, yours. The developers already have it just on the main site, but somebody from the community, I'm time challenged. That's why I'm willing to donate. I was open to actually the amount to donate as well, but I don't know. I don't know. 5XMR maybe enough. Somebody needs to come up with like a
5XMR go a long way for a lot of people. That would be amazing. Yeah, so
absolutely. I was open. I'm not saying this if they want more or less. It doesn't matter to me. Somebody needed to come up with a central place which has all the important projects going on and the donation addresses, and it'll just make it much more effective.
Okay. Yeah, we should work on that. You should definitely. I'm sure you're.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that just to you. Anybody can, come in with that idea. Probably it's like a starter, small project for somebody who is willing to get into Monero.
Are you thinking of it being user submitted, or is it just a directory that somebody creates?
Somebody credible, of course. Yeah, like maybe, maybe a Git that will be a good place.
You know, would be interesting. We could pull directly from Twitter. So if people have it on their bios, it automatically verifies them as having that address. And maybe it could, push some people to put their XMR addresses on their profile if that's the way it's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Python scripts to dig that, or Reddit, a combination of all of these, but at least a few projects that are very important, right? Like what Doug is doing. Even Cake Wallet guys, they are the ones who are donating all the time.
Yeah.
But even they need some, just, it doesn't matter how much. Those guys are doing a great job too. So something like a donation address for all the important projects going on. Anybody willing to contribute can go to this place, look up the address, Cake Wallet or Monerujo, whatever they prefer.
The guys over at 4chan, somebody has I have to look at the address, but they had set up a site where it just listed everybody who had an XMR address somewhere in there, right? And it was
but isn't that kind of random?
It's kind of random, and it isn't like a curated one, and it tends to just be like that small community. So I'm definitely getting it's definitely a good idea to kind of have like a central place with everybody in the community, so we can cross across different niches in there.
Did you guys see what Monerujo started using? I don't know if they're the ones that created the tech, but they made a super simple way to don't track different donations, kind of more in a Kickstarter style. And so they created separate funding.
This is excellent idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug. Go ahead first.
Yeah, Sunit, if you want to bring it up, it's pretty cool. So, right now they have the Sidekick that they're trying to fund and a couple of other projects, and they have it all listed on a page where you can see the amount of funding for each, kind of like the Monero CCS, but done in a little more Kickstarter style.
Maybe this is an idea for both those guys, for Wick as well as, and I'm forgetting his name, Monerujo developer. They can integrate the donation addresses into their wallet. I don't know if it is an extreme step, but if somebody wants to contribute right away from their wallets,
Yeah. And just an overall Kickstarter method, just an easy way for people to easily run a quick donation,
Right.
The CCS, I did it. It was a little, it was a little laborious. It wasn't super.
Dude, that was amazing, by the way.
Yeah, congrats, man.
Hey, can we hear more about your Puerto Rico festival?
Yeah, definitely.
Sure.
So we want to do it in March. What's the date we're thinking? Like March?
It's the second. I don't have my phone, but it's the second weekend in. Hold on, let me pull up.
Yeah, we want to do it. I think
March second weekend, 9th, 10th, 11th.
Yeah, so like the March 11th, which is a Thursday, and do a long weekend. It's going to be in Puerto Rico in the Rincon area.
11th to the 13th. Yeah.
And
it sounds epic.
Yeah, it should be good.
We're trying to...
should be good. And it's really more about just getting people to come out, hang out. And we're going to provide ways for them to buy their plane tickets with Monero, using existing services, but promote that. And then ways for them to get their accommodations with Monero. So maybe we all, talk to a hotel down there so we could all go to the same place, all use Monero to book the hotel or whatever it may be. And
good. Sorry.
Yeah, and then, like I said, get some bars and restaurants in the town on board for at least that long weekend. The idea being everybody's using Monero all day, every day for a long weekend. And then we would organize some meetups like, hey, we're all beach party today, or we're all hanging out at this bar over here today. So kind of like a decentralized conference, not so much people hanging out, listening to talks, but just hanging out and using Monero among Monero users.
That's beautiful, you guys.
Yeah, so please, put it on your calendar.
I think you bring up like a real good point too, that these past 2 years, this last bull run, a lot of people have figured out how to get, crypto in the system on the down low, but getting it back out's another story. You know what I mean?
Very true.
I think that's always the holy grail of circular economies, and it's often not talked about for obvious reasons, but the more that people use it within the system that they've created, the least power the outside entities have. And I think really that's the most damaging thing to the status quo of current banking, is if people just opt out completely, because them printing money doesn't affect us, right? It makes our money worth more. Them putting all these draconian laws doesn't affect us. We ignore them, right? So I
agree.
I think that's going to come in due time, and right now we're just building up the technology, so eventually the social change catches up with the technological change.
What are you guys talking about? As in, like, trying to get Monero?
I think
I think what we're saying is like
Monero?
you could. There's a lot of ways to get money into a Monero or Bitcoin even without having it attached to your name, but there's so limited ways to spend it. Like, there's cool things you could do with it, but like, what if you need hard cash right now? That's where it gets challenging.
Imagine the complete, you move to Monerotopia, right? And you can work for Monero, you spend it in Monero, so you could live your whole life without using anything but Monero, right? So that's the epitome of that.
But that's going to be a big, no, that's very, is that realistic? I am a big Monero fan, but
that's what we're trying to do over here.
We're trying to
that was
do.
Right. But
I know it's idealistic, right?
Right. But no, basically when you talk about idealism, the main point gets lost here, which is like, what would you do in the intermediate term or the short term, right? Like what Space had mentioned. How would you want your cash at a certain point? So yeah, both are necessary. Obviously, that's a long-term goal. Well, everything happens with Monero, but even with Bitcoin, that's not happening. And somebody is going to extreme lengths in case of El Salvador, for example, like making it mandatory. It's something like that I wish never happens. Even if you are a big libertarian Monero fan, it should always come up to an individual's choice when it comes to Monero, right? Or anything. That's what the essence is here. So it's a long road. If you talk idealism, you'll get lost. More practical, short-term goals, that's the challenge. That should be the goals. And that's more realistic, and it will expand. Just being realistic doesn't mean that you don't reach your ideals.
Yeah,
right?
but I think ideals are good for being guiding principles that help motivate us towards the path that we're moving. So even if we don't reach it, we're still moving in that direction. And with El Salvador, just an opposing view to that, right? Which sucks that they're instating it as this is now currency, you have to use it. But the other side, from the global ramifications of, you have a country that just told a big fuck you to banks, right? Like, I mean, we haven't had this in history at this scale. And I think that we're going to see a lot of changes in the political scape if that works out, because I think the sovereignty of the banking system being absent from this country, right, El Salvador, is just I think it's going to really drastically change, so much more that it really puts an interesting perspective of, maybe it was harshly pushed, right? But is it better than having them use dollars? Is it better than them having to use whatever currency they decide to? It might be a painful thing right now, but the political impact that had, I don't think most people are going to see for a while. And I think it's like I said, I'm a big Monero fan, and I felt like Bitcoin wasn't really where it was in use, right? And it's just the political impact of that is tremendous, right? You have a whole country that opted out 5 years ago.
Not true.
How so?
I disagree that they're saying a big fuck you to the bank. They're just being another bank. So the current banks use a fuck you, and this guy is deciding to use another way of fuck you. But that's not the solution to it. No, just like printing tethers is not a solution for what the Fed is doing. It's just doing two wrongs. That's not going to make it right. Right now, there is a big. Go ahead.
Do you think enemy of my enemy is my friend?
Of course it is. In this case, I still don't think they are our friend, though. I mean, this guy is going out of his way with his ideals. He has his own ideals. You're just not putting yourself in his shoes, right, to understand what he's doing. He's doing something that is completely against crypto's ethics in general, right? He's using this as a tool. Somebody else will use another tool 50 years from now that you haven't even thought of, right? It's just going from one nightmare to a different one. And the people are, you can see the reports that are coming out of El Salvador. It's not blown up. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's being curtailed. Like, there is no general, there are economists from the country who disagree with this dictator. And we can go on and on. I just don't want to distract ourselves there. But for me, this is basically choosing another poison and not really getting rid of a poison. And that's, let Monero do the right way. It'll be slow but steady. But yeah, if some country enforces that, I'm out of Monero that day. That's not how you do it. And I'm pretty sure the guys who will adopt the countries or the politicians or whoever, we are no judge. They will do the right thing because they have that right mindset. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is another extreme, right? A problem now to a different problem. Right now, it's getting lost because of the momentum and how much corruption is floating around in this space. So they're getting away with it. I'm not a big fan of regulations that are coming either, right? But this wouldn't have happened had it not been for these greedy people who have taken over. Like when I joined, I heard about the block size. That's a completely different, thing that has been forgotten now. BCH, although it's really another different conversation, and we can talk about that for hours. But Bitcoin has been now co-opted, right? It's taken over. It's going in all sorts of wrong directions, in my opinion.
Well, can I hear your guys' opinion? Anybody that wants to chime in, especially Doug, you were in the political arena not too long ago. The proposal to track every $600 transaction, I think that maybe has like a lot more potential to squash innovation than people in the community might think.
I think BitLicense had a lot of squashing of innovation. I think the Bank Secrecy Act, as utilizing cryptocurrency, squashes innovation. I think regulation is just in place to squash innovation. And when you look at people who are really advocating for this stuff, it's the people who have the most to lose if this new technology questions the status quo, right? The advantages, I think, is that you're seeing, technology is moving a lot faster. And I don't know if anybody's heard when, people in Senate and Congress actually talk about technology, but it feels so out of touch. It's actually, I'm going to start using it as like my pump up mix at the gym, because I get so mad, right? That there's so much power, and it just feels like a lot of political theater in terms of curtailing anything that could be used one way or another. But it ends up being, when you see this from the left and the right, it's you just use the right wording for the right reasons and you get to the same endpoint, which is preventing people from being able to have that freedom. That $600 amount is so tremendously small, right?
Well, I think that's intentional. It's targeting people, disenfranchised people that see like maybe crypto as an opportunity to like get financial freedom. Because the way that like mid-sized non-public companies are going to operate, they report taxes on the honor system, and it's always been like that. And those kind of people are a lot less likely to be having 10,000 transactions per year like some of us, especially those of us that have like experimented with DeFi in the past 12 months. The $600 number seems specifically to be targeting the poor.
Yeah, no, it's definitely very concerning.
Accredited investors is another thing.
Unfortunately, yeah, it seems like we're heading, towards CBDGs, which is a whole other thing when we're going to have programmable money. And so at that point we would be potentially, if that's adopted, there could be ways in which we're almost perfectly taxed, right? So if it becomes programmable money that everybody's using, that's controlled by the government, it's kind of the holy grail of any state, and that seems to be the direction we're moving. But Monero exists, and Monero exists as the opt-out option. So even what we're seeing, any of the regulations that we're seeing come down, should just push people further and further into Monero as a place where those regulations will have no effect.
But Doug, are you actually seeing somebody advocating, even within the Bitcoin community, that hey, this is wrong. These are the kind of things that are coming in, and hence you should look at this other option. That's not what's happening. So
we don't have. What do you mean we don't have that conversation taking place in Congress? Is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying within the crypto space, right? Crypto space itself is so small, I think, overall, when you consider worldwide population exposed to crypto, right?
I believe it
exponentially increased. Yeah, it has increased exponentially. No question about that. Within the last year or so, it has, right? Prior to that, it was a fringe community in a way. But within that fringe community, are you seeing people advocating, saying that, hey, there's all these sorts of government interference?
I think
I am
target on people.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, especially in the Monero community.
Yeah, but that is very small community. It's not the crypto community. That's what I
agree. That's why we're always fighting.
It's like a fringe within a fringe nowadays.
Yeah, I agree. Right? I mean, I want to see.
There is a lot of social media influence going on, which is trying to actually turn people away as if this is something shady. I don't know if you guys saw the interview the other day with Arctic Mine and Monero Matteo, right? Where actually Arctic Mine goes on to explain how Monero is very compliant. It's the most compliant. But do you see within this crypto community, say, for example, take Reddit, take Twitter, all these social media circles, which are the real points of influence. Don't go by CNBC or anything in the print media, right? The real influence for crypto is social media, not the actual media. That's really not the place. But within that fringe space, do you see people saying, hey, you know what? It doesn't make sense anymore. Let's all go towards something that has more fungibility and privacy.
No, you don't see it because they own their own bags. That's
exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So I think the bag holding and promoting projects for the profit. I think, and I've been around in the space, and I burnt out of it's. I hate that side of the space, right? Where, and it's crazy, right? You talk about with social media, somebody will get a lot of attention for promoting whatever random dog coin ERC20 is in flavor that week, and it's just it puts a lot of attention in that. But I will tell you that it brings people into the space as the silver lining to that. And then two, you can't directly just list all the issues with regulatory and powerful entities, because now you just sound like an extremist, and that's a problem with optics when it comes into how to properly market something. Because I could go on and on about the Federal Reserve, funding of wars, how and to the average individual, unless you're able to slowly break them into that and understanding the points, the logic is there, but they shut down because you just sound like the crazy uncle who's talking about banks and
Yeah, the crazy uncle.
The crazy uncle, and I think that's maybe why it's not as vocal. And a lot of people in the community, there's already an understanding of regulation bad. Now, if you go on there and explain regulations bad, blah, 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 congressman said this, and that, and it's now we're delving more into politics, and two, that's just attention so it gets picked up by whatever senator, and it goes back and forth. Last time I heard him is one of the senators wanted to ask Robinhood, if a user buys a stock and then loses money when that stock goes down, are you guys refunding it? Why not? Right? I'm like, wait, what? They're so out of touch. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's all theater. The regulation's going to come eventually, right?
Yeah, that's an outlier. I mean, those guys are obviously there in power, But within that community itself, which is the politicians, these guys are outliers, right? No, we cannot just extrapolate somebody who is 70 and saying these things and saying that the entire Senate or entire government is made up of these morons. That's not true either.
If I could cut in for 1 second, the government's attacking the on-ramps has been a talking point here for at least the past 2 years. Like, oh, you know, they don't have any way to stop it, so they're going to attack the on and off ramps. And then I think we're watching it happen.
In my opinion, no government has ever come and said to Coinbase, hey, you can't list Monero. Nobody went to Gemini.
They don't do it directly.
No, but they're attacking the on-ramps. We're seeing it with the $600 transactions. They're going to be automatically reported to the IRS. They can't attack the on-ramps any harder than that.
That's not, I mean, 600, that's never going to happen. But practically speaking, today, as of today,
I think it is, though.
I think I still need to address this point. What is the community doing? And asking back, saying, there is no government which went to Coinbase and said, because we have an example, Kraken. It has everything. Gemini and Coinbase, these guys are two big exchanges. They decided on their own to list Zcash, and all these other
cash bag holders is what.
Yes, but I think there's
exactly what I'm trying to say is government is not necessarily the enemy all the time. Why do we keep saying? My question is, with this idealism, we are getting lost within the crypto community ourselves, right? Within the crypto community.
Yeah, but I don't think we're speaking idealism, because a big light bulb moment I had about crypto a few years ago was talking. I came from the corporate finance world and talking to my boss and having conversations about how the IRS, had put out memos to certain institutions talking about directly taxing people out of their bank accounts. And that's when I had my big light bulb moment, like, oh shit, these crazy conspiracy theorists on Twitter are right.
Yeah, but I think within the Monero,
Grace, just try to wrap it up, because we're gonna.
I have a point. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, wrap up. I want you to wrap up your point, because you're making a good point.
My point is, we should be vigilant about what is going on within the social media circles and try to be aware of how we are being attacked. It's not necessarily the government attacking all the time the Monero community. So be watchful, be careful, and hopefully, on the positive note, I really want somebody to come up with that donation idea that I had. I would definitely love to donate to whoever puts in the time, because that's going to help all these other projects.
That's a really nice idea, by the way.
Yeah, it's the least I can do, really.
On your point about Coinbase, I think they do have some pressure, and it's not just government, but there is investor pressure for, for example, you say, why did they list Zcash? Well, who bought a lot of Zcash who also invested early on into Coinbase?
Yeah.
These are key plays when you look at like Digital Currency Group and how they have their arm in a lot of these key players and how they move in the same direction.
Of course.
But I think from that advent is that, there's definitely players outside of government. But when you look at it, is these players work very well with government. Why do we say government is the biggest opposer to a lot of this stuff? Is because if some random entity or company wants to impose random laws, rules on their exchange, it doesn't really affect me if I don't use it. Government's the only one, but we have given as a society the power to completely put people in cages if they break rules that they've considered to be illegal now. So I think that's the key thing of when we look into authority, who's the number one authority as a society who we've said, and this is why we always tend to draw who's the big opposer of creating regulation and the enemy. It tends to be government. It's not it's not a main entity, right? There's a lot of key aspects, but when it moves as a whole in the same direction, it's the only one that has the power to, bust down doors. Your neighbor can't just run in and say, I don't like that you're barbecuing meat every day, right? It's like, dude, this is my house. But if they were to pass some law that said I can't barbecue food, now they have the authority to come in, right? So I think that's why government gets painted in that picture. And then two, yes, I think there's a lot of key players behind the scenes that have invested a lot of money, and they're really pushing in one direction or another. The reason why I think
you guys
that's the point. Yeah,
regulations that are coming down tend to create winners and losers, and the winners tend to be the people that push for those regulations to be put in place. And so, big company, the Goldman Sachs of the world, and now the Coinbases of the world, you're going to see those are the ones that are going to somehow benefit from the new crypto regulations that come down, and then it's just going to hurt the smaller players and the smaller people. I mean, the regulation it's a real deal. It's coming, right? So we see the Financial Action Task Force.
It's not going to affect Monero, though. We are already affected.
We all said
Monero community is going on the ape over this.
Right.
No, it's like this is the least thing. Yeah, this is not going to affect Monero in any way.
And it really pushes
just make it a little more difficult for people to get their hands on it. But like we've been saying, that maybe you're saying it forces people to use it the right way.
See Reddit, there are so many posts these days who are saying like, hey, how do I get Monero? How do I get Monero? How do I get Monero?
With that regulation, though, all it does is it pushes the technology to become better technology, because a lot of this is they just don't want people in control of those funds.
Right.
But, for example, if you have a peer-to-peer exchange, there's no one in charge of those funds. The computer system is. So their laws cannot really wrap their head around that. They're really just preventing somebody for creating a centralized exchange, making a bunch of money. They can run off with the money. So most of the laws are written on who's responsible party. When you make a person the responsible party and they're free to do as they need to do and you create a system, it really, the laws aren't, the regulation's not going to be directly written that way. It's going to be on, for example, they look at Uniswap and they think, hey, who created Uniswap? Who are the developers? Where are they hosting this? Where did they register the domain? So even though the whole system is decentralized, it's on a centralized system of domain names. And there's a lot of technology there. IPFS, you have decentralized unstoppable domains, you have ENS, you have all these technologies that when they write regulation, it just makes, so this is no longer like a legal framework. But this decentralized version is legal and compliant. It's kind of funny how it kind of like regulators shooting themselves in the foot, because they're really just pushing people into more sovereign soil.
Right. So,
I agree.
Guys, we have to wrap up here, but this is awesome.
Okay.
Next time, I think.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for jumping on. Thank you, everybody, for jumping on. Great contributions. Unfortunately, we have to go. We have some family things we got to do, and we're running late. But guys, this is awesome.
What are you guys doing tomorrow? We should do another round. And I apologize. I joined late. I had this in mind, but I just had other things.
We're probably not gonna. We'll do another Monerotopia this week, or probably or next week, same time.
All right.
I don't think we'll do one tomorrow.
It's good to hear so many different. We do one every week. Twitter cannot capture what Crypto Bear is saying. SpaceX is saying. You guys are doing.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I like this. I feel like there's a belonging here.
Please jump on again when we do them. I mean, be a regular contributor. We'd love to have you. Conversation. So,
Dr. Trace, you're on Twitter.
I am. Same name.
Expect a video or a Monerotopia maybe same time next week, or maybe we'll do it during the week. Sometimes we do it at night.
Yeah, we do it at night. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend, guys.